Spurge here, and in this video we're going to break down the new Helite H-Moov Airbag Backpack system. So Helite is a name that is familiar to a lot of you out there that have been riding with airbags. Their systems are mostly focused on tethered system airbags. Come off the motorcycle, tether pulls, airbag deploys. What we're seeing with the H-Moov Airbag Backpack is, first and foremost, it's a backpack with an airbag integrated to it. Secondly, there is a tethered airbag backpack as well as a electronic algorithm-based backpack. The tethered version is coming around the $800 price point, whereas the algorithm-based is coming in around the $930 price point. What we'll walk through in this video is what we like and don't like about each system and where they fall in the world of airbags that we're seeing out there right now. So let's start off with the fact that it is a backpack. Black is the color available. The construction is a heavy-duty textile, 18 to 32 liters. So you get the extra liters if you're looking at opening this up. You're going to see your regular compartment. You also have an expansion. So there's a separate zipper on the outside. You can go ahead, you can unzip this, and it expands the capacity of the backpack up to that full 23 liters in capacity. You can see the zipper on this. You have to make sure you kind of pull it out as you're using it because it does bunch up a little bit in there. You are going to get a padded pocket for a laptop. You got some external pockets on the outside on this. And then the one thing to note, you'll see the extra flap that comes in here. I have one down here. If you want to take the backpack off and just use it as an airbag system, you can actually unzip the backpack and zip this cover on and just use it as an airbag system without the coverage of the backpack. So a lot of versatility baked in here. There's also going to be a rain cover, which you can see we've got the rain cover over on the electronic one on the left-hand side, and both will include a SAS-TEC CE Level 1 passive back protector. So this is if you do get into a crash and you're not moving, at least 15 miles an hour with the electronic version, this is there to keep you safe. For the tethered version, as long as you're coming off the motorcycle, the airbag will deploy, but it does have this in there as standard. So in addition to the rain cover, which you can see over on this one, there's also a helmet bag, which you can see by the little helmet logo on the bottom. You can unzip this, the helmet bag comes out, and you can actually strap your helmet to the back of the backpack, and then it just latches up to the top. You also have a little water-resistant pocket on the outside here, and then an extra storage pocket on here. So plenty of storage, plenty of different separation options as you're looking at the backpack portion. But this is not a regular backpack. You wouldn't spend $800 for a regular backpack. Actually, some of you might, depending on what kind of a Prada backpack you're looking at. But really what we're looking at here in the world of motorcycling is that if you're looking for just a riding backpack, there are more affordable, more versatile options. If you are looking at a riding backpack that also has an airbag built in, that's where Helite is going to be pretty much the only pony in the race at this point in time. So dual snaps to open and close. Now the one thing I'll note here is that the CO2 cartridge is replaceable and it's over on the right-hand side. This is the tethered airbag. Even though it's the tethered one, it still has a little power button there. Power button doesn't do anything on the tethered system. Just keep that in mind. We'll get into the power button in just a second when we talk about the electronic version. Opening this up, what I will note is that we have deployed this one already, so the CO2 cartridge in this one is empty. You can replace the CO2 cartridges by yourself. It is simply you open this up, the CO2 cartridge unscrews, and then you have to reinstall the pull on this. That's why this is off. So this will come with an elasticated tether, and as long as you max out the tether, that's where it pulls this off. Don't worry, we're going to show you this deploying. We know that everybody loves to watch the airbags deploy, so we have all of that footage to wow you with. But the tethered system is very simple in its design. If you come off the bike, if you get hit hard enough in an accident, if you have a low side or a high side, and you pull, this comes to a certain point where it eventually snaps off. This stays wrapped around the motorcycle, and this will deploy and ignite the airbag. The airbag will deploy within about 100 milliseconds. I think it's actually 0.095 milliseconds is what Helite is claiming. We just rounded up to 100 milliseconds. And it is a 60 cc CO2 cartridge that you can replace itself. Now the one note that I'll make here, and I'll call Helite out on this, is Helite says that the bags can be deployed unlimited amounts of times as long as they're not showing damage. I think that's maybe something you should be weary of. A lot of the other manufacturers with their airbag systems say that the bag has to be replaced or at least sent back for examination every 3 to 4 deployments. And with the way that this airbag deploys, it is more exposed than some of the other systems that we've seen. So just keep that in mind. After every deployment, really take a good look at the bag to make sure that there's no damage to the bag if you are going to not send it back for repair and you're just going to keep deploying it. But what Helite is saying is you can deploy it as many times as you want until the airbag is showing damage, and you just replace the CO2 cartridge right here. So that is the tethered system. That's what we know Helite for, is the tethered airbags. There's also the electronic version. Now the electronic version will look identical, except for it will not have the little tether there. The one on my left-hand side is actually the electronic version, and you would hold the power button down to turn it on, so you would think. But there's actually a system where to activate it, and maybe this is because they don't want you to accidentally press against something, or you put the bag away and it's leaning against something, you have to push it 3 times to activate the bag. Once the bag is activated, there is a standby mode, so if it doesn't detect motion, it will go into standby mode after 45 seconds. You have to be moving at 15 miles an hour for the bag to deploy. There is 1 accelerometer, there is 1 gyroscope, and there is 1 GPS in the brains of the bag. And then the real nitpick here is we did confirm with Helite, if you are sitting stopped at a stoplight and you get rear-ended, the bag will not deploy. You have to be moving at least 15 miles an hour. And again, if it doesn't detect motion every 45 seconds, it will go into standby mode. And then when you start moving, it will activate again once you are past that 15 mile an hour mark. So a few notes when it comes to the H-Moov airbag system. If you are looking for a tethered airbag backpack, this is obviously the main one that you're going to be considering because it's pretty much the only one that's out there. We know and like Helite for their tethered systems. There's a lot of people out there debating algorithm-based airbags versus tethered airbags. Tethered airbags, it's pretty simple. If you come off the motorcycle and that tether expands to its max, airbag is going to deploy. There's no question about that. Really, when we're looking at some of the algorithm-based airbags, there's debate even amongst the manufacturers that are, only doing algorithm-based systems as to, when is this going to deploy? Are there any tricks where it might not deploy? When you factor that in and you look at Helite trying to get into this game, there's no app for this, so there's no way to, download the data, to look at it, to activate or deactivate. There's simply a power button, which you have to hit 3 times to turn it on. And then also, it's just not the sophisticated systems that we're seeing with some of the other manufacturers where, it can protect you if you are sitting stopped at a stoplight. It can, stay activated in different ways that, might be a little bit more sophisticated and protective in its design. So all I would say is that if you are looking at the H-Moov Airbag Backpack, the tethered system is probably still the way to go. I would love to see Helite continuing to develop their algorithm-based bag, but I think the tethered airbag is probably the one that most people are looking at if you're looking at Helite. That being said, there's a lot of folks out there using these airbag systems on their motorcycles. And if you want to hear more about what they have to say, you can click the info button on your desktop or mobile device. You can read other rider reviews from folks that have already used this out there on their motorcycle. Perhaps they've had the unfortunate experience of having it save their bacon. And if you have more questions as to which airbag system is right for you and your riding style, you can always reach out to our customer service reps and they can walk you through all the different airbag systems available to help you find the right amount of airbag protection to match with your riding style as well as your budget. I want to thank you for joining us for this first look at the Helite H-Moov Airbag Backpack. I'm Spurge. Enjoy the ride.